Hello out there, and it is collection update time, specifically mini grip collection update time. And that's a very exciting thing because, as you guys know, I am trying to accumulate every single Mini Griptilian that there's ever been. Well, almost every single one, and we'll get into all that stuff. We'll get into the stuff that I have, the stuff that I'm going for still, and the stuff that I still need to try to track down. And yeah, we're just going to go through it bit by bit, have a lot of fun, talk about all the different variations that there are, and yeah, the things that I have. And I think that's really it. So let's just get started, and we're going to do it chronologically, actually. So chronologically from when I picked it up, not when it was produced. So we're going to start with this one right here. This is actually my first Mini Griptilian. This is the 154 cm in light blue color. So this has just the basic stock plastic scales. It's in remarkable condition because this is a knife that when I first got it, it was the nicest knife in my collection. And you know, I used it a little bit just for EDC tasks, but never anything all that crazy. And then once I started getting other mini grips, this one started getting used less and less. So I mean, it still looks pretty darn good. The clip shows some wear, but yeah, it's a beauty. It's one of my favorite knives in my collection just because of the snowball that it started, that snowball effect of me loving this design. So yep, and I'll show you all the clips too and let you know if these are stock or aftermarket, because a lot of the things that you're going to see here today have been adjusted from the way they actually came. So here is this one. The next one that I got is a D2 version, and so this is the D2 Mini Griptilian, also the 556, so the drop point. This is completely stock, so this is the clip that came with it. This one has seen its fair share of use. I got it used, and I put a lot of this wear on it myself, but some of it was there before I got it as well. So this one is all blacked out. It looks a little bit like polished silver up here, but actually it's just from wear. So you know what you'll see on some of them, and I'll just show you this right here, is you'll see sometimes like black hardware that's mixed with silver, and I'm really not a fan of that generally. So anytime they have like the all black setup, I really like that. So yeah, so this was the second one, and now we might not be quite accurate with the order, but the next two I'm going to show you together. So, because this one right here is the blade that goes with these clear scales. So for those of you who are not aware, Benchmade put out a 440C safety blade, as you can see right here, for display purposes. So it wasn't sharpened, and it went with these clear scales. The idea being that you could get a look at the axis lock and how it worked, the inner workings of it, all that kind of good stuff. You know, and so it was something that dealers would have in their stores, so someone walking in could get an idea of how this mechanism worked. The thing about the clear scales, which we'll talk about real quickly, is that they were very brittle. They weren't meant to be used, and so you can see cracks here. I've probably had 5 sets of these come through my my hands, and a lot of them just don't look great. So these are actually pretty good with this one big crack, which is actually relatively new, and this knife never gets carried. So literally just sitting around, you know, these cracks can develop over time. So it's a bummer, but it just makes these things more and more hard to come by because the condition of them deteriorates so quickly. So this is the blade that was on there, 440C, and I got this sharpened. I'm not sure if it was Jeff Jewell. I don't know who sharpened this for me, but they put the edge on it to make it functional. And then I have a polished clip on this one, and then just the regular black scales on this. This one right now is probably one of my favorite ones just to carry and use. It's a great EDC kind of tool. I have no issues with Benchmade's 440C. They crush it. As far as everything that I need a knife to be, 440C from Benchmade does that. And honestly, there have been times where I can't tell the difference between this and M4 in the cutting capacity of this model. So I don't really, you know, I don't really have anything bad to say about the 440. The blade on this one was was sort of just a test kind of blade. I got this blade, it was an S30V from the Custom Shop blade. that was all beat up and had the black coating on it. And so I removed all that, did some acid etching, and just had some fun with it. The thing that makes this a pretty significant blade now is that the knife, the standard steel is now S30V, but it is flat ground. And so this is one of the very uncommon hollow ground S30V mini grip blades, because they were only hollow grinding it when it was made from the custom shop and before it was the standard steel. So that's a lot. But we also have blue hardware on this. I don't know, I don't really carry this knife, so this hardware might end up finding its way onto another one of the Griptilians, but I don't know what to do with it. So it just is sort of sitting here and is a hodgepodge of a bunch of things. All right, so next is the first of the Ritters. So this is the Ritter Mini Griptilian in M390. This one originally came with black scales. This one now has Death of All Things, like custom scales on it. So I ordered these carbon fiber scales with the purple G10. Pretty sick. I love these scales, and he's done some fantastic stuff. If you check out, it was Death of All Things, now it's Death Grip Scales. If you check out his Instagram, he's done just some fabulous work on 940s, bug outs now, mini Griptilians. But for my money, these are still the best looking Griptilian scales I've ever seen. I just love the carbon fiber, love the purple. It's exactly like the perfect set of scales for me. This knife is super smooth. All of them are pretty darn smooth, to be honest. But yeah, this is arguably the nicest one in the collection. So as you've heard, you know, we've gone from 154 cm to D2 to 440C, S30V, M390. And at this point, I started thinking, all right, well, let's try to get one in every steel that's ever been made. And that became a goal of mine. And so the next one was CPM M4, and this came from the custom shop. It was a trade that I did with, man, I can't remember who I did the trade with. I think Minnesota Knife Guy, actually. And yeah, this is the Deadpool Mini Griptilian. That's what they were calling it. He was calling it. People have called it. Again, another 556. You'll see a lot more 556s than 555s. I definitely prefer the 556, even though it's good to have some 555 variety. The other special thing about this one is that this color red for the scales was a limited edition, so it was only available on the custom shop for a certain amount of time, so there is a little bit of rarity there as well. So yep, really sweet. You will see a number of other custom scales here. Not really, yeah, a couple of them, but for the most part, I'm a fan of the plastic scales on the mini grip, so you won't see too much of it. So the next one, as we were trying to complete all the different colors, is the gold class Mini Griptilian here. This one is in S90V, and up until very, very recently, this was the only S90V mini grip that you could find anywhere. It just didn't exist. And so S90V, yeah, it was only on this gold class. I actually prefer the look of the other M4 gold class, but I already had the M4, so I went and splurged on this guy right here. And this one's just sweet, cracked titanium finish, number 63 out of, I think, 175. Just a beautiful knife, nice rounded spine. I'm a big fan of it. I've carried it very little, you know, I've cut with it very little, but it's not 100% a safe queen because it's going to be mine forever. But nowadays, on the current custom shop, S90V is a blade steel that is available. So while I'm sure it isn't that common of a thing, it is, it's available and it's out there for anyone who wants a Mini Griptilian in S90V. So pretty cool. The next one is M390. So this is another hodgepodge blade mixed with a different scale. So this M390 blade is a limited edition, number 146 out of 200. It came with black scales. I got rid of those, and what I got was the 555 or the 556, the -1, the gray G10 scales with the blue little accents, and I dyed them purple. And so that's, I don't know, it's just sort of what I thought made sense for a knife like this. This is a pretty rare limited edition, and it's actually the only mini grip that's ever been produced in M390. So, so yeah, I wanted to have something a little bit nicer, and I dyed those scales. This one has a Benchmade USA clip on it that I put on there, so that is a pretty cool one. And this one is next to the 440C one, probably my favorite one to carry, just because the G10 scales just give it that different kind of feeling. Now we're going to show a picture, because I have one, the 555-1 first production, that is actually not in my possession right now. It's currently on loan to the great Everyday City Carry. Ray up there has been checking it out for a while. He actually just got his own mini grip to own, his first one to keep, just the other day. So congratulations to him, but he's been checking out the 555-1. That one is in 20 CV. And so that, again, helping complete the quest to get every single steel. And then moving on, here's another 555. This 555 was and is one of the rarest ones that there is because of the steel. This is an N680, and I've told this story a couple times, but I got this knife thanks to some help from my buddy Zach over at Zach Stuff. And when I was first exploring the idea of hunting down every mini grip steel that was ever made, N680 was available on the Benchmade custom shop. But it's not a steel that people have any interest in. It's not one that is popular. It's not one that really turns heads. And so for me, I always chased other stuff and just thought, all right, well, I can always come back and get the N680 one at some point. And then they discontinued it on the custom shop, and it wasn't available anymore. And I didn't know what to do, because I went to Blade Show and was talking to the Benchmade people at Blade Show, and the lady who was sort of explaining how it got discontinued and why said that she said 5, and maybe that was an embellishment, or maybe she was just, you know, like just telling a story and just guessing or something, but she literally said there were 5 of these, that no one had ever decided to purchase them, because if you can get S30V or D2 or even 154CM, you know, whatever else is available, like, why would you get N680? And so they just stopped offering it. And Zach was able to pull some strings and with his people that he knows in Benchmade, help get a couple of the leftover blades and get one made for me. So here it is. Awesome. Because without him, it would have been very tough to accomplish this. So thanks to him. All right, next. So here's a fun one. This is a updated S30V. So this is another 555, but this is a current one with the flat grind on it now. So this is since it's become the standard steel. These are Flytanium aftermarket scales, titanium scales, and then also a Casey Lynch clip. I put that stuff on there because I wanted a mini grip that didn't really feel like a mini grip. I wanted it to be different a little bit. And the problem is that it's different a little bit. So I never ended up carrying it. I just didn't like, not that I didn't like it, but it just wasn't one that I reached for. And so I was trying to figure out what to do with it, if I should get rid of the scales, sell it, move on from it. And I kept seeing my buddy Stasa 23 with these awesome anodizing jobs that he was doing, and I reached out to him and I was like, man, can you do this on my titanium frame for the mini grip and give me just a unique piece? And so he did that, and this thing is sick. It is sick. The job he did on the clip, just the contrast there is awesome. I mean, this knife, this is as close to a Save Queen as I'm ever going to get now, just because it just isn't like functional in hand compared to the other ones, but it's just so darn pretty. I mean, I don't want to mess with it at all. So yeah, it's just a great piece, and it's awesome that someone who's as close, you know, a friend of mine as Stasa, who's doing great stuff like that, it's awesome to be able to have a piece of that in my collection. All right, man, we still got a few more. Then we got to talk about the ones that are left. So yeah, thanks for sticking with me. Here is another Ritter Mini Griptilian in M2HS steel. This one has Wilkins scales on it. This is number 90 out of, I'm not sure how many, maybe 150, 200. These are pretty rare and hard to come by. They don't pop up very often. So yeah, when I saw the M2HS, this one actually completed. This one completed all of the steels. So once I got this was the last one in the collection to get all of the steels that needed to be had. This one has the mini bug out clip on it, so super sick, all decked out in black. Had my buddy Jeff Jewell clean up the edge, and so now this one is really super functional. Great little knife. And the thing that I like about it, not just the fact that it has the Ritter blade on it, but the scales give it its own identity compared to, you know, some of the other stuff. So that's neat. The next two are the OG mini grips. So these are both pre-production. This is the pre-production 555 and the pre-production 556, number 684 and 600 respectively. Both of them have the very sweet Benchmade USA clip on it. It's actually my favorite Benchmade clip ever. So yeah, I really like that. One thing that is pretty neat about them is that they were, like, from the get-go, these knives were super smooth and drop shutty. So yeah. So it's not necessarily something that had to, like, happen over time, just from the original incarnation of these. And these both came out the same year, and I'd been under the impression that the oval hole one had come out, like, a lot earlier, but they're both in the catalog at the same time. So, all right, so we have these two, both in 440C. The next one is a Cabela's exclusive. This one is in D2. This one I'm calling the Kylo Ren mini grip just because it's all beat up and has, like, that red accent. If you guys are interested, let me know. I've been trying to film a video going through the mods that I did and the, like, quasi restoration I did on this knife, because these scales were tan and really beat to hell when I picked them up. If you're interested in a video like that, comment down below. Let me know. I'll try to refilm it and do something else with it, because I've filmed that video like 2 or 3 times and it sucked. But the Cabela's scales here, the exclusive ones, they look a little bit different from the standard ones as far as the texture. So I really do like that pattern that distinguishes it a little bit. This one is in D2. I love the D2 steel. So yeah, this is a pretty sweet one. Has the deep carry Benchmade clip on it as well. Down to the last few. Here is another N680 one. Believe it or not. So a couple years after I got this, was just on eBay and I saw one pop up. Literally the only one that I've ever seen show up on eBay. And I don't know, it was in blue, so it had to definitely been made from the custom shop. It had to have been. And I mean, this is a color scale that, if you take a look next to the light blue ones, this isn't a common, I don't think that there's just basic production Mini Griptilians in this one. I think this is a custom shop color only, I believe. I might be wrong there, but yeah, I just felt like it should be mine. Here is the 556 in M4. This is the actual production limited edition M4. So again, available on the custom shop, has been for a while in M4, but this is the limited edition one. Really sweet. I like the coating on it. It's the only Cerakoted Benchmade Mini Griptilian that I know of, so there's that it has going for it. Black on black with all the hardware as well. I keep thinking I want to do something different with the scales, but I'm not 100% sure what. Like, get a different set of scales, just because there's so many black ones in this collection. And that sort of leads me to the newest one that I just got the other day from my buddy Weston, Blade Collector 7. This is the pink one. And this isn't anything like limited as far as production, but it was just a special with some of the proceeds going to, like, breast cancer awareness. And I just thought it would be appropriate, like, have a pink one in the collection. And I thought about maybe swapping the scales on these. Not even necessarily maybe keeping this. Who knows? I don't really need the blade, but maybe pink scales on the M4. I don't know. Not sure exactly what I'll do, but the pink definitely, I don't know, I always thought it was a little bit weird. Not weird, but not any kind of colored knife that I'd want to carry, but getting it in hand and cleaning up the scales and seeing it in person, I'll definitely carry this. So, yeah, not sure what the future is, but this one was in 154 cm. The pink scales came in the 555 or the 556, maybe even the 557. All right, so let's just bring a couple of them out to just have in front while I talk about the ones that are left, because there's still a few that are left. And this is a long-term kind of goal, because who knows when it's going to happen, but years down the road, I'd like to have one of basically everything that there is. The first one that I'm still looking for is in 154 cm, the oval hole. And these are easy to find. I just, haven't Haven't gone for one yet. But basically what happened was Benchmade transitioned from the oval hole to the round hole. And there was a short period of time where they were producing the 154 cm steel blades with the oval hole before they made that transition. So what I mean is the transition from 440C to 154 cm as the base steel happened before the hole change. And so again, just a short amount of time. And so I'd like to get one of those. There's also a limited edition in 154 cm that looks basically just like this, except the scales are gray. And it just says limited edition on it. It's not numbered, and it's just the scales that make it the limited edition. Just a special color gray scale. A little bit odd, but definitely want to get my hands on those. There is another gold class Mini Griptilian. And this one looks a lot like this, actually. It's the same sort of design, just different colors. It has a blue inlay, and it has an M4 blade instead of the S90V. So that one is one that I'm looking for. And then you might remember from a couple years ago, the one they called the Griptilian, which was another titanium limited edition in 20 CV. That one had wood inlays and looked, again, very similar to that M4 gold class. So again, that is another one as well. There are two more Ritters that are on the list. One of them is in S30V, and that one isn't hard to find. It's, again, just one I haven't gotten around to. And then the hard one, the hardest one of all probably, is the M4 Ritter Griptilian. So the M4 was a limited edition one, just like the M2HS. The M2HS ones actually seem to pop up and become available slightly more often than the M4 ones. I've very, very rarely seen an M4 one. That one will definitely be the most expensive, and that one will definitely be the hardest one to come by, and it will almost definitely be the last one to get. Don't know if and when that will ever happen. And then last but not least, almost, I don't have a 557. Weird, right? I don't have a Tonto one. I'm not a big Tonto or Tanto fan, so that sort of makes sense. But they did introduce the 557 prior to the steel being switched over to from 440C to 154 cm. I think it was only 1 year. So I'd really like to be able to get a Tanto one in 440C. And then also there was a limited edition Camp Perry 557 that I would like to get as well. So those are the two 557s that are on the list. And last but not least, I technically do not have every steel that the Mini Grip has ever been created in, because on the custom shop, if you go check it out, they have a Damasteel version, which is pretty cool. Damasteel Mini Griptilian. I'm not a big Damascus person. It's not my thing. But that said, obviously, if I'm trying to complete the collection, like, I would need to complete it with that. I have not splurged for that because, one, it's very expensive, and I know I'm probably not going to carry it that often, but two, I think if they have that steel on the custom shop, they're probably going to put out a knife with it eventually, like an actual production knife. And I would much rather have that than something from the custom shop at this point. So I'm sort of holding out, seeing if they release something down the road, and then that will be the one on the list. So that's it, guys. That's a lot. I wasn't planning on this being like a 25-minute video, but here we are. So that is everything that I have as far as mini grips go. That is basically everything that I know about mini grips, all rolled up into one ball in one video. So any questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, let me know. I really appreciate it. Hey, and there might be gaps in my knowledge. So if you know of a Mini Griptilian in a different steel or a different variation that hasn't been mentioned or talked about, let me know in the comments and give me a chance to explore it and find out for myself, all right? Really appreciate it, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Have a good one.